you can give everybody all the toppings on the sundae, but if you don't have the ice cream and you don't have all these basics, like, you got nothing.
You're listening to Repli Talk, a podcast designed to provide actionable marketing strategies and valuable insights around apartment marketing, hosted by Corbin Wright.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Repli Talk. Myself, Corbin Wright. We've got
Michael Estep,
Director
of Operations for Repli.
All right. So today, what are we talking about?
Well, we just got back from our trip to the UKAA. Actually,
Innovation show, right?
Yeah, innovation show. So we just went over to the UK, specifically London, and participated in the UKAA Innovation Show.
Yeah. So
great show.
It was pretty much an expo, and things are a lot different over there.
Quite a bit different.
So we had a really good time. We were there from last Wednesday to this past Saturday.
Yeah, long late night Tuesday flight, in early Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
Not a lot of sleep. Got moving pretty quick in the morning, and the innovation show was on Thursday.
Yeah. And
it was a great show, very intimate.
Yeah,
That's
it was.
the best word to describe it.
So typically there's you go to, Atlanta Apartment Association. You've got
100.
Yeah, you got a couple hundred vendors. You've got everybody and their brother there.
Yep.
It's just massive. We got there and it was completely different.
Yeah.
So
intimate.
Very intimate. So we get in there and there's like 30 vendors?
40 at the most.
Yeah. And probably 200 people, if that.
Yeah, 200, 300 at the most is what it felt like. A lot of space to walk around.
Yeah.
Very easy to talk to pretty much anybody and everybody you wanted to, from the CEO of the UKAA to managing directors of some of the biggest property management companies there.
For sure.
Having that conversation and getting that conversation was, I wouldn't call it easy, but
much easier than
it is here. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it with our trip, I think that it kind of it brought to light that is the right thing to do, to go over to the UK and start those relationships over there for us. But really, it's pretty exciting time because we get to go. We're coming into something that's brand new.
Yeah.
The build to rent industry has been the powerhouse, and it's all kind of been like a single family ghost rental market. And then now multifamily is becoming a thing. They're delivering units. It's growing like crazy. So it's pretty exciting to be part of that.
Yeah, and I think we achieved the main goal, right? We wanted to go over there and build relationships, build partnerships that were going to last a long time. And in having an intimate event like that, we were able to have conversations with those CEOs and managing directors, and able to just kind of hear what their thoughts were, what their pain points were, and really kind of establish what they were looking for in, a marketing partner, a marketing vendor, some of the issues that they were having at the time. And I think a lot of the issues that, they're going to run into regardless of who they use and what avenue they pursue, because it's a new market.
Exactly. And that's kind of like on my last trip there, I realized that not many people are thinking about marketing, that all of the focus kind of seems to be on development and investment and more of like the operational side. And there's a housing shortage over there. They need housing, but it's one of those things where if you build it, they will come. Not necessarily. And I think that they're starting to experience that a little bit by what I heard from some of the talk, is that it's not as easy to lease up these deals because, they're running into challenges.
Yeah, and I had the opportunity to speak with a few managing directors and some upper level management of the property management companies, and one thing, they are focusing on marketing, but it's all trial and error over there right now. There's a lot of efforts that they're making, and they just haven't had the time to figure out who, what, where, when, how, what sources to use and what avenues to pursue. And I think, we discussed this when we first got there. The initial effort that they're going to make from a marketing standpoint isn't necessarily against their competition, or direct multifamily competition, build to rent competition. It's going to be pulling those people out of those single unit places and competing in that space. and they're providing a wonderful amenity filled space in these brand new units, right? But people are naturally comfortable.
Yeah.
And how do you pull them out of that comfort?
Well, there's this big piece of educating the consumer too.
Absolutely.
So it's not just, building all the space and expecting them to come. They really have to, the big challenges is educating the consumer in this whole dream of that they've never experienced. So
absolutely. Why is this better?
Yeah.
Why should I come to you?
Exactly.
It may cost a little bit more, may cost a little bit less. You may be providing all these better amenities and these better things, but I'm used to what I'm used to.
Yeah.
What are the differences? What am I going to experience? And a lot of it sounds great, but how can you sell that dream over the internet digitally?
So it's
and
kind of
how do you educate digitally?
Absolutely.
And get them ready for a move into those new spaces.
So the way I kind of think about it is, there's a new lease up deal and you've got to kind of build the dream around it. And then you get to the UK and it's like times 1,000 because not only do you have to build the dream about what product you're going to deliver,
build the story,
but you got to build the story around what this whole lifestyle is about.
Yep.
And, we've got over here in the States, we've got the amenity wars where everybody wants the biggest and the best amenities. And then now it's, it's about customer service and it's about the resident experience. And there, man, they just don't know.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of skepticism around this whole multifamily thing because they're just not used to it, which is crazy.
Right. And I had another couple great conversations about what amenity spaces are important to them.
So what was the feedback on that?
It's funny. So, in a lot of the conversation that I had, it was, what amenity spaces are important to what demographic?
Yeah.
Is it grandparents being able to live close to their kids and their grandkids, right? And how do you appease the grandparents, the parents, and the kids all in one space?
Yeah.
And, there's affordable housing requirements, and that's kind of been a big challenge.
Yeah.
But let's just say, for example, here in the U.S., in most parts of the country, a pool is very appeasing to a lot of people. It's a great amenity space. And, I can't remember the last property that I looked at or helped with that didn't have a pool.
Yeah.
But in London,
it's not really needed.
Yeah, give me some parking.
Yeah.
Right? Like what kind
basics.
of parking spaces are you providing? What kind of indoor amenity spaces?
Yeah.
Beautiful place, not the best weather. What's a pool going to do for me when I can use it maybe
3 months?
2 months,
Yeah.
3 months at the most? So I know it's a selling feature here, and it could be a selling feature in some places over there.
Yeah.
Maybe an indoor pool. But if it was, a pool versus a parking deck.
So I think we're starting to see that shift in the States though too, because
Sure.
we have everybody that's producing the biggest, the best amenities, but when you really think about what people want and they're doing the research now, people want the basics
Wi-Fi.
And I'm going to bring up somebody that brought up something just brilliant, but it's basic, is Clyde from Cortland, and he's like, you can give everybody all the toppings on the sundae, but if you don't have the ice cream and you don't have all these basics, you got nothing.
Right.
So shout out to you, Clyde. That stuck with me.
Sorry, I had to turn away for a second. It was going to be a heavy laugh. Shout out.
Shout out to Clyde.
But no, yeah, even now, with the co-living and with the people want to say the millennials and Gen Z and all the people, all the kids coming up that are going to be renters, or all the young people that are graduating, right? What are they looking for?
Yeah.
Are they looking for a co-living, co-working space within the community that they live in? Do they want a gym and easy access to groceries?
Yeah.
Is it walkability? Those are types of things that they don't even have the data to support or figure out to go off of over there. So it's going to be a learning curve for a lot of people. For
sure.
And being able to develop a sort of segmentation, if you will, on not only what amenities they're looking for, but I think what's really important to us from a digital perspective is what platforms.
Yeah.
Platforms here, platforms that we can use over there. What are some of the metrics and statistics that we're seeing here? And there's going to be a lot of research into what the most popular platforms are over there, and it may not be the same. That digital journey could be completely different over there.
Sure.
And it sure is right now. The way that they look for places to live right now is nowhere near the same the way that it is over here.
So over there they use estate agents, and it's more of the single family real estate market here, where the real estate, the estate agents are helping people find a home. So having that shift, completely different. But what I noticed the most was the lack of data that they found kind of readily available. So I felt like there was a lot of frustration in like not having the data from the States to kind of direct them in the right direction. That's kind of what I got by some of the breakout sessions and stuff. But
I think they're looking for data, and whether it be data that they can 100% tie to what they're looking for, or what they from the U.S. and what they can apply to the U.K. I think they're just looking for data, right? And they just want to see what's working over here. They want to see how they might be able to apply it over there, right? Because you can find a ton of experts in what we do over here, a ton of data on what we do over here. But when you put people that live over there and people that are in the day-to-day and know the language, know the different little quirks and kinks about, just the small differences in what they call it. Build to rent. I want to let an apartment, not lease an apartment. Little things like that. And obviously there's data and search metrics available for that, but there's just no history in the space, and they're just looking for knowledge. They're looking for education. They're looking for something that they can kind of get help with and bounce some feedback off of people. I think that's one of the biggest things that we saw is everybody was kind of open to some opinion and some education.
And I really like that people are they're just there to soak it up. They're there to learn. They really want the feedback. They want the information. And to our UK listeners, if you guys are watching, leave some comments below. Absolutely. Or reach out to us, and we want to know what metrics you are looking for. What is going to help you guys when it comes to making this transition from build to rent to the multifamily industry? What are the things what are the problems you're experiencing? Because we want to help. We want to help find that data for you, and we have a lot of data when it comes to the marketing side. But it was nice to see that they were open to the opinions, but they really do want some answers. And we're not going to be fools and tell you that we know exactly what it is, how it is. I think one of the things that we can definitely say is we're willing to take that journey and kind of learn and get your feedback. I think it's really important that we're developing partnerships with the teams over there in setting the right expectation that it's going to take some time. None of us are going to be perfect to start. Right, but if you make some sort of commitment or some sort of partnership and willingness to drive that strategy together and be willing to be mobile and move and move with the data, move with the information, and trust each other, I think that's something that could benefit the entire space over there. I know a lot of the relationships over there are super tight, and they're willing to kind of share the information. One thing that I think that we can agree on is that when it comes to figuring out this whole marketing side of things for multifamily, not so much operations, not so much investments, but the marketing side, I think we can agree on is tracking. Like tracking. Like you've got to have your tracking right. You've got to have your
for hours, my friend.
I know, but it's so important because if you're not able to track it properly and you're not able to drive leads to a spot, a CRM or something that's able to track it properly, then you're dead in the water.
Sure.
So I think that the first step is really like educating on proper tracking.
Sure.
And that's just marketing 101. But it does take it takes a strategy of getting the tracking in place properly when it comes to phone calls and it comes to, leads, email leads or chat or whatever. It's got to come in, seamless and actually source right. So that kind of seems to be our biggest, our biggest challenge when bringing on a new customer is getting there. Not so much a challenge for us, but a challenge to get their tracking set up properly. Breaking it down and really diving into all of their sources, cleaning it up. And making sure that we've got the proper phone numbers, we've got the proper emails, they've got the proper channels for your customers to reach out to you.
Yeah, and I think they're kind of in the perfect spot, right? It's the perfect storm.
Yeah.
They can kind of set themselves up for all the future successes if you get the basics right.
Yeah.
Put all the essentials in the right place, set everything up properly, and get all that stuff set up so you can put an ROI on all those things.
For sure.
I know we talked quite a bit while we were there about the ways that they're sending in certain traffic and what they're sending that traffic to. And I think, initially setting that up and dialing that in and getting those basics right is kind of going to be super, super important for them. And I think they're in the right place to do it. Nobody's gone down a deep hole yet.
Yeah.
And
there is time.
There's still time to
There's
set
still
it
time
up right.
to save it.
Yeah. And, we talk about that a lot here in the U.S. is kind of uplifting what you currently have and getting out of where you currently are.
Yeah.
So that you can set up the proper tracking and you can have that multi-source attribution. And a lot of those companies aren't deep down in that hole yet. Yeah. And, like I was saying, it's kind of the perfect storm. They're in the right position to really get it right off the rip. And, I think they have the opportunity to do it right from the start, and it could make things very easy for them.
I think a big focus too is their website, because they're kind of pioneering this thing into that market, and this is new. But I think that one thing that we can also agree on is that majority of your traffic is coming through a digital channel. It's coming online.
Yeah.
So making sure that your website, you're able to cater to that journey. And I don't think that it's going to be set up the same way that it is here in the U.S.
Well, and another thing too is we may know what avenue they're coming in from, but we don't know what that journey's like. And I think it's really important to understand that you can't force anybody down any path. Yeah. Because it's different here in the States. Market to market, it's different. You can't force anybody to any generality, right? Yeah. Not everybody's ready at the same time. And that journey is going to be different for everybody regardless of how they pursue your property. So I think it's going to be not only a learning curve in what avenues they pursue digitally to find your property, but how quickly they're willing to make a move. How quickly they're willing to make a commitment.
What's the cycle? What's the
longer, shorter? What part of their journey are they going to find your website? Are they going to find your landing page? Is a remarketing effort through social going to be something that's crucial, coupled with a strong PPC campaign? Is it a blend of ILSs and PPC? That's going to be a learning curve that we're all going to need to set the right expectation and understand that it may take some time to figure out, because one thing I can say is we don't know what that journey looks like yet. And we'd be fools to say that we do. And I think it's super important for all of us to understand that we need to figure out what that journey looks like. And we need to take some time to really figure that out, because that's ultimately going to be super crucial to the strategy
I agree.
we develop in the future.
I think that it's when you're going into this, being able to move quickly, being able to, with your website, landing pages or something, like having a website that is very flexible and being able to make moves quickly. So when we were talking to our friends at Graystar, I found it really interesting that, they are kind of feeling some pressure to perform and do things the same way in the U.S.
Yeah, maybe not so much pressure, but I think some of the information that they've seen success with in the U.S., they want them to try in the U.K. And, there's nothing wrong with trying that, as long as the data and the metrics support it. Yeah. But you've also got to be flexible enough and willing enough to try other avenues too. Throwing a lot at this new market, throwing a lot of the features and snazzy things that we have going on over here may not be the best route up front. I think digitally, there's a lot of parallel in, social platforms and things of that nature. But as far as a leasing journey in the UK, nobody really knows what that looks like. Yeah. And
they just don't. Yeah, they don't even know.
Right. You can't just throw it all at them right away. Yeah. You've got to maybe start.
But I think we can't. I think that we did get to a point where they agreed that it's kind of like the same here in the States, where you have a lot lower percentage of people who are going to just immediately lease from the website without visiting. You get that percentage is much lower than your typical somebody going to the community after they found you on a digital channel or avenue or a drive-by. They're touring. And that was also another thing that sparked my interest in our conversation of like, it's not like that in the U.S. where people just immediately lease and they lease from the website.
Right.
Sometimes. Sure. Much lower percentage than not.
Absolutely.
But I think that just educating them, giving them kind of some peace of mind, like, hey, it's not that way over here.
Yeah.
And
very little.
And I think that just really, I guess, being transparent with the data and being transparent with what's going on over here is only going to help. So I guess what I'm talking about, what I mean is we want to hear
I think if you
their problems.
I think if you want to draw a parallel to what they are seeing from an online leasing perspective, when do we normally see it? When somebody's coming from a different state, right, or a different country in a very limited amount of time to even come see the property. So your presence digitally and the story you tell digitally is super important.
Yeah.
What dream you're selling from a digital perspective is very important, and you need to make sure that your website's set up properly. Any efforts that you're doing that you have digitally are showcasing your property in the right way, so somebody will choose your property over the other. And I think internationally is what they saw the most of. Student housing, kids from different countries that don't have the opportunity to come visit that property.
Yeah. Which I think that having something along the lines of virtual tours and being more
point
of
of view videos, video content, and I think a lot of that gets talked about, and it's been talked about for years, right? Video content's king, but really selling the dream from a video perspective, and that means maybe it's a point of view tour, maybe it's a full video of that property using some of the space, right? Showing somebody the features of that property, letting them see everything and anything about that property from a video perspective.
Agreed.
One thing that we continuously see across all social platforms is that video is getting all the views.
Yeah.
As many more views than anything else. And if you're able to sell your dream from that video,
building a story around it.
Sure, you may see an uptick in online leasing, right? If you can sell the dream and if you're putting the right content out.
That's a good point. I think that and we're saying we think because we don't know. We don't know. We're a lot more confident in our marketing efforts here in the States, but what I do really, I feel strongly about is it is going to take a lot of video. It is going to take a lot of storytelling. It is going to take a lot of building the dream and the story and the feeling around this whole sense of community, because people don't know. They don't know what they're getting themselves into. They might be a little sketched out, like a little.
I think we started off the conversation with, gotta convince people to get out of their comfort zone. Yeah. People are used to renting from an estate agent. Yeah. Right? And going to one website for that information or going to one person for that information. That may have been a relationship that they've developed over a long period of time. Yeah. Somebody that their family may have passed along to them. So it's going to be hard to get them out of their comfort zone unless you're doing all things possible to sell that dream and tell that story.
Yeah. It's like we're the other way around. They're like, I really think that you should go and move into all these houses that are just ran by all these other landlords. I mean, it's going to be pretty dope, but you should do it. So really shifting the mindset.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I think being able to tell that story, setting a level of comfort about what this new lifestyle and what this new space is like is going to be super key.
Agreed. Finding the segmentation.
Major key alert.
Cool. Well, so we're gonna go ahead and stop there, but we want to make sure that you guys get your questions answered. If you have any questions, if you don't agree with what we said, anything, hit us up. Leave us a comment. Also, follow us on iTunes. We're also on Google. We're on Spotify. We're on pretty much everything. So Repli Talk.
All the platforms.
All the platforms. Leave us a review. Ask us some questions in the reviews too.
Subscribe to the podcast. Leave some comments below. I know you're talking about that. Negative, positive questions. We want it all. We want to have an opportunity to answer those questions, respond to that feedback, and include the listeners to what we have to say.
Yeah, and if you want to work with us, or if you want to check out, see what we do, we are Repli. We fully focus on multifamily marketing and software. So we provide custom software, and then we also provide managed services as well. So www.repli360.com. That is REPLI360.com. All right, guys. See you on the next episode.